I'm just going to ask let's just sit. Let's start with 5 minutes silent meditation, just to get settled.
Consiglio di meditazione silenziosa sopra la stabilizzare.
So welcome to the 10th time we're holding the first Rimay Monlam. Every time feels like the first time.
Obrigado por virem ao 10º Rimay Monlam, que é o primeiro, de alguma forma, assim, esta sensação de ser o primeiro.
Some of you have participated in such gatherings in years past, but maybe for others of you, this is the first time experience.
E alguns de vocês têm passado por esta experiência em anos anteriores, mas para uns tantos outros é quizás a primeira vez.
For me, it's also a very new experience because only when I arrived a few hours ago was it suggested that I give an opening introduction, so it would be new and spontaneous.
Então também para mim, de alguma forma, apenas quando cheguei aqui foi claro que seria simpático se houvesse uma palestra introdutória, então de alguma forma será espontâneo dessa vez.
There are many different kinds of gatherings in the tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. Reflecting earlier on whether it's possible to precisely trace the origin of what we now call Monlam Chenmo, or Great Prayer Gatherings, like where does it really originate?
Há várias condições auspiciosas na tradição tibetana para este tipo de encontros e há pouco tempo deu para mim pensar se seria possível sequer traçar a origem histórica destes chamados Monlam Chenmo, os grandes encontros de preces, como nesta circunstância.
And I think it's actually an evolving form. I don't think created it from scratch. I think it's something that has grown and evolved from other types of auspicious gatherings, and certainly in the recent history of Tibet, there was a great gap or disjunction, a period of time when there were no great public gatherings of Dharma. For basically an entire generation.
Então, tendo pensado sobre isto, cheguei à conclusão que este é um processo em desenvolvimento. Penso que nunca ninguém criou verdadeiramente estes encontros a partir do nada. Foi sempre um processo que se foi desenvolvendo a partir de outros encontros anteriores, e encontros auspiciosos, até que, mais recentemente, depois de um grande intervalo, uma grande quebra de tempo em que no próprio Tibete não existiam estes encontros, então se voltaram a desenvolver.
But we can trace back to maybe 20 or up to 25 years ago. I met a great Kagyu master from Kham, from eastern Tibet, who had lived in Tibet throughout the difficult period of the 60s, 70s, 80s. And his name was Lagen Sanjay Tenzin Rinpoche. Lagen Sanjay Tenzin.
Então, recentemente, fui encontrando algo que há cerca de 20, 25 anos atrás, fui encontrar um grande mestre Kagyu na zona do Kham, do Tibete Oriental, que se recorda exatamente deste período de dificuldades dos anos 60, 70 e 80 do próprio Tibete, e o seu nome era Lagen Tenzin Nagen.
he came to visit the monastery in New York where I had been training and where I had recently finished a 3-year retreat in 1990. He came out of Tibet for the first time and spent a few months with us. And then maybe 1 or 2 years later, I heard that he had established a great Monlam, or re-established Monlam in eastern Tibet that many thousands of people attended, probably early 1990s. So that's probably the earliest I'm aware of current times this kind of gathering occurred.
Então, mais ou menos nos anos 90, no início dos anos 90, este Lama visitou o mosteiro Kagyu nos Estados Unidos, onde ele estava a caminhar anos, e então aí falámos e estabelecemos este contacto, e soube mais tarde que ele teria organizado, então, no início da década de 90, o primeiro Monlam, o encontro deste género, no próprio Tibete, depois de eras de ausência deste tipo de encontros.
So I could be mistaken, but I believe it was only after the success of these Monlams that he established in Tibet that the different lineages of Tibetan Buddhists in exile or in the diaspora began to hold Monlams in Bodh Gaya. So it was less than 30 years ago, for sure, the Kagyus and the Nyingmas and so on began to have their own prayer gatherings in Bodh Gaya.
E creio mesmo que foi após o sucesso de dezenas de milhares de pessoas aderirem a isto no Tibete Oriental que então as diferentes linhagens começaram em Bodh Gaya, na Índia, a levar a cabo os diferentes Monlams das suas próprias comunidades.
Of course, once an idea is successful and it has beneficial effect, then it gets copied. And a copy is imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? So many other lamas, monasteries in different parts of Tibet also began to. I started to hear that there were even some versions of Rimay Monlam occurring in Tibet in the early 2000s.
Então, obviamente, quando uma ideia boa funciona e traz benefício, então naturalmente as pessoas começam a copiá-la e podemos até dizer, é dito muitas vezes que a cópia é a melhor forma do elogio, de alguma forma. E então, obviamente, que começaram a ser adotadas vários destes Monlams em várias partes inclusive, eu ouvi dizer que houve alguns tipos de tentativas de pequenos Rimay Monlam, ou Monlam Rimay, que começaram então no início do ano 2000.
And then at our monastery in Golok, in Tibet, Honkar Dorje Rinpoche established the particular structure of the Monlam that we have been following. He started in 2004 and then held it every year up until 2011 and then once or twice since then. And then I translated this book in 2006-07 at his request, and he joined us at Blazing Wisdom Institute in New York to hold the first Western Rimay Monlams according to his tradition in 2007-08.
Então, seria mais tarde que no nosso mosteiro no Golok, no Tibete, o Dorje começaria a estabelecer aquilo que é este modelo específico que agora seguimos, o Rimay Monlam, a instituição de 2004, até 2011, e por volta de 2007 foi proposta a tradução, uma tradução deste livro, que é exatamente o mesmo modelo que é seguido, e seria então que por volta de 2007 começaríamos também as primeiras edições do Rimay Monlam Blazing Wisdom Institute com a presença.
So it's from those at Blazing Wisdom Institute that we can count and come up with this as the 10th annual Rimay Monlam, but in fact that wasn't the real beginning, it was just the continuation or extension, translation of something that already preceded, and that tends to be the case. It goes back and back and back and back. It's important to understand what these precedents, and that this is part of a living and evolving tradition that covers Tibet, it covers these annual Monlams in Bodh Gaya, it covers Kagyu Monlams, for example, held in many different countries of the world every year, and it covers this Rimay Monlam, which is now being held officially in Europe for the first time.
Então, podemos dizer que, só quando falamos do 10º Rimay Monlam, estamos a contar exatamente a partir do período em que eles começaram a ser sustidos ou metidos no Ocidente, como foi contado, e então creio mesmo que este é um processo natural de desenvolvimento, em que estamos apenas a dizer isto, porque se andarmos por trás, se tentarmos tracejar as origens, então temos que dizer que isto começou muito antes. Estamos a contar apenas após o processo de tradução e desenvolvimento, mas podemos dizer que estas práticas do Rimay Monlam têm a sua assistência no próprio Tibete. Podemos dizer que também a sua assistência no Tibete, podemos dizer mesmo que os diferentes Monlams das diferentes escolas, sustidos em Buddha na origem, podemos andar cada vez mais para trás. Até porque isto é um processo extremamente alicerçado em outras práticas anteriores, e que estabelece apenas um precedente que agora está a ser estabelecido, e podemos dizer que pela primeira vez, então, oficialmente na Europa.
Okay, so you may be sitting there thinking, that's nice little history lesson, but who cares?
Alguns de vocês estão ali sentados e poderão estar a pensar assim, isso é uma pequena e agradável lição sobre história, mas quem é que quer saber isso?
Or you're watching online somewhere in the world thinking, who cares? You know, because all that matters is we're sitting here, we're going to do some prayers. But it does matter. It does matter to understand what this practice that we will engage in for the next few days is really about, and what its historical and recent historical significance is. It's quite important.
E alguns mesmo dos que talvez estejam online a ver podem estar a perguntar-se, mas na verdade quem é que quer saber se vão sentar no grupo para fazer algumas práticas e preces? Na verdade importa que estamos a fazer algo extremamente significativo, que de alguma forma podemos ser também históricos.
Some of you may have had a chance to listen to the recording that was made of the talk I gave earlier this year at the Rangchong Yeshe Institute in Nepal, which was called the Rimay Monlam and the Survival of Tibetan Buddhism. So this will give you a clue about why it's important.
Talvez alguns de vocês tenham ouvido a palestra editada e posta online, dada no Shed da Rangchong Yeshe de Nepal, que tinha exatamente por título o Rimay Monlam e a sobrevivência do budismo tibetano, e talvez este título vos possa dar uma pista sobre quão importante é.
We don't have a lot of time tonight. We can talk more in the coming days. But in short, you can look at it this way. Some people have the view from outside that Tibetan Buddhism is some kind of like organized religion, and that it has some kind of church or ecclesiastical hierarchy and structure, and the Dalai Lama is in charge, and everyone kind of follows some basic set of rules like other religions have their established, organizations and governing bodies and structure, and everything kind of works the same way. Tibetan Buddhism is not like that at all. Nobody is in charge, which is to say, everybody is in charge.
Então, uma das coisas que podem olhar quando pensam no budismo tibetano e podem pensar, ok, isto apresenta-se, na verdade, como uma religião perfeitamente estruturada. Ela tem uma estrutura, tem uma organização, tem uma hierarquia, e esta hierarquia finalmente é presidida por a sua santidade Dalai Lama, e podem pensar que existe toda uma série de regras e procedimentos que estão plenamente estruturados, organizados. Podemos pensar que há inclusive procedimentos que são comuns, mas na verdade o budismo tibetano não está organizado dessa forma. E quando pensamos que assim que há alguém responsável pela sua preservação, não há ninguém, que é a mesma coisa que dizer que todos somos responsáveis.
So most of the time, all of the different schools and all of the different monasteries and all of the different lamas and all of the different dharma centers around the world operate completely independently without really any regard for what anyone else is doing or not doing. They each have their own interests, their own way of doing things, their own practices, and it's important for each of them to practice correctly, to study correctly, and to preserve their own teachings correctly, but there is nothing beyond that really can be called Tibetan Buddhism, honestly.
Então, é claro, podemos ver que todos os mosteiros, todas as escolas, todos os lamas, todos os centros de Dharma, em qualquer parte do mundo, eles obviamente têm os seus próprios currículos, os seus próprios programas, os seus próprios interesses, a sua própria maneira de fazer as coisas e, obviamente, têm o próprio interesse em como manter as suas próprias tradições apropriadamente, as próprias práticas, importante e oportuno. Mas temos que entender que não há nenhuma estrutura do budismo tibetano para além disso.
What there is a source and a common interest in practicing and preserving what we could call the three vehicle or Triyana system of Buddhism that came from India. That's what there is that kind of covers everybody.
Então podemos dizer que obviamente existe uma fonte comum, um interesse comum, que é basicamente preservar, manter aquilo que podemos chamar os três veículos, os três yanas, aquilo que veio da Índia intactamente, é isso que podemos dizer.
So just like when conditions relaxed a little bit in Tibet in the early to mid 1990s, one of the first things that seemed important for the highest lamas to do was bring everyone together to do common prayers of aspiration for the preservation and expansion of the whole Triyana system, Buddha Dharma from Tibet. So in other places at other times, given that there's no one thing that everyone participates in, it's extremely important from time to time for people to step back and say, what is it that is special and unique and important that we are all doing? And isn't it important for us all together to recognize that we are, in a sense, allied for this very important purpose to protect and to practice and to spread this unique and precious tradition, and to kind of step back from the day-to-day work of my school, this, my Lama, my students, my building project, my stupa, my this, my that, and say, what is it that we're all doing? And recognize that we're all in this together, sink or swim.
Assim, no próprio Tibete, assim que as coisas começaram a abrandar um pouco, então as coisas que todos os grandes lamas decidiram era que é importante então, trazer todas as pessoas a reunirem-se juntos, partilharem este espaço comum e profundamente verem o que é que vamos fazer então para preservar, difundir ou expandir a prática e todo o resto de cada uma das nossas escolas, mas também qual é o princípio comum que todos partilhamos, qual é o bem comum que todos partilhamos. E alguns foram vindo que seria interessante, ou seria mesmo muito importante, darmos um pequeno passo atrás para refletir exatamente o que é este bem comum que partilhamos, o que é esta visão, o que é que são estas práticas comuns que temos, e nesse preciso momento, então, esse passo atrás, deixar um pouco de parte aquilo que é a minha escola, aquilo que é o meu centro, aquilo que é o meu projeto de construção, aquilo que são as minhas práticas, aquilo que é o meu stupa por aí fora, e perguntar de facto o que há deste bem comum que todos nós temos que de alguma forma preservar, manter e difundir esse princípio comum, deixando um pouco de parte dos projetos individuais.
So if even just once a year we step back from this intense and exclusive focus on where our money for our projects is going to come from and where our students will come from and where our supporters will come from and who's going to do our practices and keep them. We can step back from that and in the purest way dedicate prayers together to the preservation of this great tradition in which we all participate, then I believe that inconceivable merit, blessing, and benefit follows from that.
Seria então interessante e importante que, pelo menos uma vez por ano, passo à retaguarda e, em vez de pensar sobre de onde é que vai vir os fundos para os meus projetos, de onde é que vão vir os meus alunos, de onde é que, quem é que vai, como é que vamos manter as minhas práticas específicas e todo este aspecto. Portanto, que pelo menos esta vez por ano dessemos esse passo à retaguarda e nos juntássemos neste aspecto, podemos dizer, concebivelmente benéfico, de preservar aquilo que é esta nobre tradição, estes veículos e como é que ao fazê-lo, ao participarmos nestas peças espirituais com esta preservação, o que estamos a fazer é inconcebivelmente meritório.
So we should all think as we begin aspiration for our aspiration prayer gathering, thinking, may what we do together over the next few days be an inspiration of pure Dharma for our own practice, our own activities, but may it also be an inspiring example of holding the good of Dharma as a whole in our hearts and sending it out forward into the world.
Então, nestes próximos dias, seria extremamente útil que nesse passo à retaguarda, todos nós pudéssemos já as nossas aspirações, no sentido que possa este encontro de aspiração não só obviamente trazer bem à minha prática, mas sobretudo possa isto ser também um exemplo, ser estabelecido sobre esta aspiração pelo bem comum, para que todos possamos, que esta prece aspirativa possa estabelecer um exemplo e também um princípio comum a ser seguido na apreciação do Dharma como um todo.
The power of cooperation in this effort is inconceivable. The danger of, in a world of scarcity and need and conditioned phenomena, to look at, the survival of each lineage, each sect, each practice is kind of like a competition. The danger of holding that view or falling into that view is ever present, and so from time to time we must overcome every limited kind of thinking. And any kind of self-interest, even thinking my monastery, is still self-interested, my tradition. Nyingma Kagyu gave my tradition. To overcome that and look at Dharma as a whole as this beautiful treasure of the three yanas, all integrated in this perfect way, as practiced by thousands of siddhas and scholars in the past. And so to feel like we are participating in that, we are contributing in that, we are holding that value as precious in our hearts.
Então seria interessante podermos ver o poder inconcebível da cooperação, em que podemos verdadeiramente largar de pensar tanto no meu mosteiro, quem é que vai suster as minhas práticas. Mesmo quando nós pensamos dessa forma, na verdade conseguimos a pensar presos aos interesses pessoais, quando pensamos no meu mosteiro. Então esta visão às vezes lança um perigo, que é o perigo de uma certa competitividade por aquilo que são os interesses individuais e pessoais, e seria interessante se pudéssemos dar este passo atrás, este passo à retaguarda e gerar esta aspiração e apreciação pelo Dharma como toda esta integração cooperativa e apreciação pelos três veículos. Também perceber que nesta riquíssima e preciosa tradição de siddhas e académicos e grandes mestres, da qual nós continuamos, da qual nós próprios fazemos parte, podemos então gerar esta aspiração por este, podemos dizer, por aqui.
So it's getting late. So we should begin with the prayers that are auspicious in the beginning to establish the framework, the conditions for successful Monlam gathering, the auspicious month of Sagadawa, and the auspicious day of the month for the feast. So we will have a feast practice tonight as well. So tonight at least we'll just do the opening prayers in English in just the one language, and then the feast practice in Tibetan, and then we'll carry on in the following days. So we'll begin with the verses of auspiciousness of Nipam, the 8 auspicious noble ones on page 18 of the Monlam prayer book.
Então, está-se a fazer tarde, tudo fácil. Então daremos início às nossas preces, no período auspicioso chamado mês dos milagres, ou mês de Sagadawa, e também estamos num dia particular do mês, chamado dia de festa, por isso temos esta festa e algumas preces para dar um início auspicioso. Então hoje, dado a questão do tempo, faremos algumas das preces apenas a recitação em voz alta em inglês, para as preces auspiciosas e a prática da festa em tibetano, e daremos início dessa forma.
So you've all made an excellent effort already just to be here and to create the conditions for this Monlam. So please derive the greatest value from that effort and increase the scope of it by giving your full heartfelt attention and best motivation to everything we do together.
Já houve incrível esforço da parte das pessoas para simplesmente para estarem aqui. Um grande esforço simplesmente para que isto esteja a ocorrer. Então vamos simplesmente incrementar isto e pôr também esse mesmo empenho, essa mesma dedicação, com todo o nosso coração, enquanto participamos, quer nas recitações, quer a ouvir o que se passa aqui.
Noble gatherings of Buddhas, Dharmas, and Sanghas abiding in the auspicious realms of the 10 directions, which by nature are the spontaneous display of the fully pure phenomenal one. Homage to all of you, may all be auspicious for us. King of lands, intent to accomplish aims with prowess and steadfastness, glorious ornament of love, holy glory of virtuous expression, widely renowned one who thinks of all, famed holy glory of majestic nobility, glorious renowned one who thinks of all sentient beings, and most famous holy glory who creates contentment. Just hearing your name spreads auspicious glory. Homage to the 8 Sugatas. Youthful Manjushri, glorious Vajrapani, Tishmara, glorious Lord Maitreya. Ishigarbha, Nivarada Vishkambin, Akasha Garbha, and Supreme Lord Samantabhara, gracefully carrying your emblems of water lily, Vajra, white lotus, Naga branch, jewel, moon, sword, and sun. Homage to the 8 Bodhisattvas of supreme glory and auspiciousness. Precious supreme parasol, auspicious golden fish. Excellent vase that dispenses what is desired, captivating Kamala flower, conch of fame, marvelous rod of glory, infallible victory banner, and imperial wheel. Homage to you, 8 goddesses of auspiciousness, holding these hand emblems of the 8 supreme signs of richness, who serve and guide the victors of all times and directions, recalling your charming natures makes glory abound. Great Brahma, source of happiness, shine without failing, thousand-eyed one, king who guards the domain, noble being, Naga Lord, and attractive eyes, and Vaishravana, with divine wheels, trident, sword, spear, and vajra, and bearing lotus swords, stupa, and victory band. Homage to you, 8 protectors of the world, who spread auspicious virtue and prosperity throughout the 3 realms. Pacify impediments and malevolence towards the activities we commence on this occasion. May our desired aims be gloriously fulfilled, our wishes accomplished just as we intend, and all that is auspicious, joyful, and outstanding flourish. 3 jewels. By the truth of the 3 jewels, may secret mantras and awareness mantras be accomplished. May our true aspirations be accomplished. Om, all dharmas arise from causes. The Tathagata has taught those causes and also taught their cessation. This is the teaching of the great Lama. You can look on the following page, the 2nd paragraph from the bottom for this mantra, the essence of interdependence mantra in Sanskrit. Om ye dharma heti prabhava heti jagata. What if you consider so I'll repeat this silently for a little bit. Om ye dharma. May all impediments and malevolence towards what we are setting out to accomplish at this time be pacified, and may the auspicious goodness and happiness be present on this occasion, for all of our wishes and purposes to be accomplished just as we intend. Following page, Sutra of Recollection of the 3 Jewels. Homage to the Omniscient One. In this way, the Buddha Bhagavat, the Tathagata, the Arhat, the completely perfected enlightenment, the discerning and holy being, the Sugata, knower of the world, charioteer who trains beings, his eminence, the teacher of gods and humans, is the Buddha Bhagavat. That Tathagata is in his form what is meritorious, fosters the roots of virtue, is finally adorned with patience, is the basis for troves of merit. He is decorated with the minor marks of excellence. The flowers of the major signs blossom upon him. His activity is timely and appropriate. Nothing about him is discordant. He takes manifest delight in those with faithful longing. His intelligence is overwhelming. His powers are irrepressible. He is the teacher of all sentient beings, father of the bodhisattvas, king of noble individuals, the guide for those journeying to the citadel of Nirvana. His innate wisdom is without limit, his strength of spirit inconceivable, his speech completely pure and melodious. One can never look upon his countenance enough. His physique is unrivaled. He is untainted by desires, wholly untainted by forms, not adulterated with the formless. He has fully freed himself from suffering, superbly and entirely freed himself from the aggregates, lacks the constituents, and has arrested the sense fields. He has thoroughly severed the knots, and is utterly free of intense feelings. He is liberated from worldly existence, has crossed over the sea and completely perfected his wisdom. He abides within the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavat, who appeared in the past, future, and present. He does not remain in nirvana. He dwells in the final state of perfection. He occupies a vantage from which he regards all sentient beings. These are the enormous and perfect qualities of the Buddha Bhagavat. The sacred Dharma is virtuous at first, virtuous throughout, and virtuous in the end. It has excellent meaning and excellent words and letters. It is uncorrupted, completely perfect, completely pure, and completely holy. The Bhagavat taught the Dharma splendidly, saw it perfectly. It is salutary, eternal, entrusted, meaningful to behold, and for the wise to understand introspectively. That was taught by the Bhagavat and starts well in Vinaya. There is renunciation and directs us toward complete awakening. Toward it creates harmony. It is reliable and brings us to stillness. Sangha conducts itself well, conducts itself wisely, conducts itself honestly, conducts itself harmoniously. It is deserving of the joining of palms, deserving of homage. A glorious field of merit, a great and thorough purification of alms, fitting recipients of generosity, by far the most fitting recipients of generosity. The Lord with great compassion, the Omniscient One who teaches us, an oceanic field of merit and qualities, I offer homage to the Tathagata. Purity, the cause of freedom from passion, liberates from the lower realms. Unique, supreme, and ultimate, I offer homage to the Dharma which is peace. Being free, they show the way to freedom too. They have the highest regard for the learned. The field of holiness, the field of qualities, I offer homage to the Sangha as well. Leader, the Buddha, homage to our refuge, the Dharma, homage to the classes of the Sangha. Continual respectful homage to all three. The qualities of the Buddha are inconceivable. The sacred Dharma also is unfathomable. The qualities of the Sangha are inconceivable. The final fruition of faith in the inconceivable is also inconceivable. May we be born in a completely pure realm. Following page is Sutra of the Heart of Prajnaparamita. We begin with the homage at the top of the page in italics. Prajnaparamita, which cannot be spoken, thought, or expressed, does not begin or end. It is the very essence of space, and for each of us to experience through self-knowing wisdom. Homage to the mother of victors, past, present, and future. I heard the following on one occasion when the Bhagavat was on Vulture's Peak in the Rajgriha. There with him was a great congregation of bhikshus and a great congregation of bodhisattvas. At the time, the Bhagavat was deeply immersed in the contemplation called the display of the profound, which comprehends all dharmas. At the same time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, noble and mighty Avalokiteshvara, was training in the profound Prajnaparamita. And by looking closely, he saw quite clearly that all five skandhas are empty by their very nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said the following to noble and mighty Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva. Someone who is a son of the lineage or a daughter of the lineage, and who wishes to engage in training in the profound Prajnaparamita, how should he or she learn to do so? That is what he said. Noble Teshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, responded to Venerable Shariputra in the following way. Shariputra, if a son of the lineage or a daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in training in the profound Prajnaparamita, he or she should look closely in this way. He or she must see most correctly and precisely that all five of the skandhas are empty by their very nature. Form is empty, emptiness also is form. Emptiness is nothing other than form. Form too is none other than emptiness. Likewise, sensation, perception, mental formation, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, since that is the case, all dharmas are emptiness, lack defining characteristics, do not arise, do not cease, are without faults, are not free of faults, are not incomplete, and are not complete. Therefore, Shariputra, emptiness has no form, sensation, perception, mental formation, or consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, or mind. No form, sound, smell, taste, tactile sensation, or dharma. No visual faculty through no mental faculty, up to and including no mental consciousness faculty as well. No ignorance, no extinction of ignorance through no aging and death, up to and including no extinction of aging and death as well. Likewise, no suffering, no origin, no cessation, and no path. No primal wisdom, no attainment, and no non-attainment either. For this reason, Shariputra, since there is nothing bodhisattvas attain, relying upon and remaining within Prajnaparamita, they have no obscuration in their minds, and so they lack fear and pass far beyond misconceptions, finally reaching nirvana. All Buddhas who fully abide in the past, present, and future too are manifestly and completely enlightened into exalted, perfect, and total awakening through relying upon this Prajnaparamita. Therefore, the mantra of Prajnaparamita, the mantra of great awareness, the preeminent mantra, the mantra that equalizes what is not equal, the mantra that entirely relieves all suffering, should be known as the truth, since it does not deceive. The mantra of Prajnaparamita is Tayata Om Gate Gate Para Gate Para Samgate Bodhisattva. That is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the Prajnaparamita. The Bhagavat then arose from his contemplation and gave his approval to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, noble and mighty Avalokiteshvara, saying, well done, son of the lineage, that is right, yes indeed. One should engage in the profound Prajnaparamita in just the way that you have explained, and the Tathagatas will rejoice as well. In this condemnation spoken by the Bhagavat, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, noble and mighty Avalokiteshvara, and all others in attendance with them, along with the world's gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, all rejoiced, and they highly extolled what the Buddha had said. The Dokpa, the prayer to avert negativity on the following page 34. We request that you utterly pacify all manner of obstructors who outwardly or inwardly interfere with our accomplishment of perfect enlightenment. Namo, homage to the Guru, homage to the Buddhas, homage to the Dharma, homage to the Sangha, homage to the Great Mother, Prajna Paramita. The power of paying homage to you all, may these fruitful words of ours be fulfilled. Just as the mighty God Indra in the past, through the power and force, contemplating the profound meaning and reciting these verses of the Great Mother, Prajna Paramita, drove away Maras and evil ones. In the same way, may the power and force of our own reflection upon the profound meaning and recitation of these verses of the Great Mother, Paramita, turn back all opposition and all that must be abandoned, so that we and our companions can practice the sacred Dharma. Following page again, the white parasol daughter, Tibetan, Lama. Goddess, white parasol from the Sugata Sushmita, with ravenous majesty you ride to powder all types of evil spirits, obstructors, and ghosts. Cause the Muni's teachings to flourish. From the discreet Ushnisha of Sugatas fully emerges the Lady of the White Parasol, features the exalted goddess, source of happiness, who incinerates the ranks of Maras with merely the flame of the Vidya mantra that proclaims her name. In full blossom of youth, produced from the heart of the youthful moon, invincible lady, pacify all discordant conditions arising from the elements, from humans and non-humans, and grant us all splendors. In particular, we ask that you guard us in every possible way with your enlightened capacity to shield us from and drive off all malevolence, such as suppression of our free gates through outside interference, actual or intended, or the binding power of sorcerous spells. Assembled deities of Bhagavati Dukha, with your power and might which know no bounds, and the intense power of compassion and aspirations, in full accordance with my prayers, spread the teachings of Buddha and bring happiness to sentient beings. Please remove the worries and anxieties of patrons and sponsors and their colleagues, and dreams and signs. Turn away bad indications and circumstances. Turn away the bad thoughts and deeds of enemies and demons. Turn away the 84 bad omens. Turn away the 360 accidents. Turn away the 404 classes of disease. Turn away the 80,000 types of obstructions. Turn away the 8 manner of untimely deaths. Turn back the stirrings of Maras above. Turn back the stirrings of Siru below. Turn back the executioner's appointments ahead. Turn back the stirrings of spirits of the cemetery. Turn back those who send disease upon mankind. Turn back those who bring sickness to livestock. Turn back turbulence in the heavens. Turn back earth tremors and quakes. Turn back negative teaching forecasts. Turn back ominous horoscopes and disasters. Turn back all discordant forces. Whether gods, nagas, or asuras, those who rob us of vitality and charisma, consumers of flesh and blood and fertility, through merely recalling your eminence, may they be turned back. May there arise the auspiciousness of the one with the white parasol of supreme bliss, sprung from the Ushishas of compassionate Sugatas, who annihilates those who harm the teachings, the source of happiness. We'll do the short sadhana of Buddha Shakyamuni. The Shakyamuni ritual, treasure trove of blessings, beginning on page 40 in the middle with the verses of refuge and the bodhicitta, which we will recite 3 times. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until enlightenment. By the merit of my practice of generosity and the other paramitas, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit transient beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until enlightenment. By the merit of my practice of generosity and the other paramitas, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit transient beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until enlightenment. Practice of generosity and the other paramitas, may I attain Buddhahood in order to benefit transient beings. May all sentient beings possess happiness and the causes of happiness, be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, never be apart from sacred happiness that is without suffering, and abide within the great equanimity that is without attachment or aversion to those who are near or far. If you know how to do Tonglen meditation, we'll do a few minutes of Tonglen, taking and sending meditation here. And if you don't, then just think of all sentient beings with loving kindness, with compassion, with joy for all of their virtues, and with impartiality or equanimity towards all.
Então, agora, se souberem como praticar Tonglen, a meditação de tomar idade, esta será uma boa oportunidade. Se não, pelo menos pensem como seria maravilhoso se todos os seres pudessem ser livres de toda a forma de sofrimento e das suas causas, como seria maravilhoso se todos os seres pudessem encontrar a felicidade genuína e as suas causas, como poderia ser maravilhoso se todos os seres tivessem equanimidade, como pensem nesse tipo, senão este é o momento ideal para praticar o tomar e o enviar a prática tão grande.
We'll continue with the sadhana, starting with the generation of the visualization of Buddha Shakyamuni on the bottom of page 40. In the manner of an illusion, using unborn emptiness and the unimpeded display of interdependence. In the space before me, in the midst of oceanic clouds of offerings, atop a jeweled lion throne, lotus, sun, and moon, is our teacher, the peerless lion of the Shakyas, with a golden complexion and the major and minor marks of perfection. He wears the 3 Dharma robes and is seated in Vajra posture. His right hand is gracefully poised in earth-pressing mudra, and his left hand, folded in his lap, holds a begging bowl of Amrita. Like a golden mountain, he blazes with majestic glory. A network of light rays of wisdom suffuse the entirety of space. The 8 closed suns, 16 elders, and the rest of the noble assembly surround him entirely, forming an oceanic retinue. Telling him fully liberates one from the 2 extremes of conditioned existence and peace, bestowing the bounty of supreme bliss. Who embodies all sources of refuge is radiant, and continuing on the following page with the 7 branches and so forth. With enormous compassion, we regard the spoiled field of the troublesome and cast 500 powerful aspiration prayers. Lotus, hearing your name, one never reverts. Homage to the most compassionate teacher. I and others gather our virtues of body, speech, and mind, along with our resources, and imagining these as the offering cloud of Samanthabhadra, we offer it all. Each and every wrong action and transgression accumulated since time immemorial, we confess with intense, heartfelt regret. We rejoice in the virtues that nobles and ordinary beings gather at the past, present, and future. The vast and profound teachings of the Dharma Chakras, we implore you continuously to propagate in the 10 directions. Although you abide as the wisdom kaya like space itself, free of transitions and mutations across the 3 times, still, from the vantage of those to be trained, you exhibit creation and destruction, and so please always display your emanated Nirmanakaya. With all of the virtues I have gathered in the 3 times in order to benefit all beings throughout space, Dharma King, may you always be well pleased, and may I attain the status of the victorious Dharma Lord. All of the 3 riches that appear in this time and place are just your enlightened activity. Out of kindness and with compassion, takes exquisite care of us, the defenseless beings of these degraded times. Therefore, since I supplicate you, the soul, fearless, supreme refuge, faith and trust, do not lose sight of the great promise you made in the past. Enfold me in your compassion until I reach enlightenment. Teacher, Bhagavad, Tathagata, and Arhat, perfected Buddha, the glorious victor Shakyamuni, I pay homage, make offerings, go for refuge. To the Guru, Teacher, Bhagavad, Tathagata, and Arhat, the completely perfected Buddha, the glorious victor Shakyamuni, I pay homage, make offerings, go for refuge. Teacher, Bhagavad, Tathagata, and Arhat, the completely perfected Buddha, the glorious victor Shakyamuni, I pay homage, make offerings, go for refuge. Teyata Om Muni Muni Maha Munaya Swaha Teyata. Om Muni Muni Maha Munaya Swaha. Om Muni Muni. Om Muni Muni Maha Munaya. Om Muni Muni Maha Munaya. Om Muni Muni. Om Muni Muni Maha Munaya. Om As a result of speaking his name and reciting the Dharma, display of multicolored light rays of wisdom radiate from the form of the teacher, removing all of my own and other beings' obscurations, and giving birth to the true qualities of the path of Mahayana. I think that we have arrived at the level from which there is no limitation. The praises to the Muni on page 50. With skillful compassion, you took birth in the Shakya clan. You vanquished the Mara hordes when others could not. Your majestic figure is like a mound of gold. Homage to you, king of the Shakyas. I wish to offer this praise to you, the one who first gave rise to bodhicitta, and perfected the dual accumulations of merit and wisdom, whose vast deeds in our day make you a lord among beings. I offer homage to your act of entering the womb of the divine lady Mahamaya, divining her lineage, descending like an elephant from the heavens, where you had accomplished the welfare of gods, and saw that it was time to train us. When 10 months were completed and it was time for the Shakya sun to take birth in the auspicious Nobini grove, your supreme marks were praised by Brahma and Indra. Gratitude of your awakened lineage. Homage to the act of showing your without equal, lion among men, who as a mighty youth displayed miraculous prowess in Anga Magadha, routing your haughty companions. To act in accord with worldly beliefs and to rid yourself of hidden faults, you surrounded yourself with royal ladies. Homage to your act of ruling the kingdom with activity. In that worldly affairs are pointless, you left your home behind and departed for the heavens. Homage to your act of self-ordination before the perfect stupa. Intending to attain enlightenment through exertion, for 6 years along the banks of the Narayana, you practiced austerities. Homage to your act of attaining supreme samadhi through perfect diligence. Achieving the purpose of your infinite dedication beneath the Bodhi tree in Magadha, with motionless posture you manifested enlightenment, with complete awakening. Swiftly turning your compassion towards beings at Varanasi and the other holy places, you turned the wheel of Dharma. Homage to the act of setting trainees upon the 3 vehicles. To defeat others' malicious critiques, you subdued the 6 Tirthaka teachers, Devadatta, and the Maras of the land of perpetual ruin. Homage to the Munis' triumph in every level. With these unrivaled in the 3 realms of existence, you displayed great miracles in Sharanati. All gods and humans paid you great tribute. Homage to your acts of spreading the teachings. To galvanize those who are lazy on the sacred ground of Kushinagar, you departed from this world like a deathless Vajra. Homage to your act of leaving this reed behind, so that none would fear the state of perfection, and so that sentient beings in the future might obtain merit. You emanated many sacred relics right on that spot. Homage to the 8 sections of your holy remains. You, chief among all bipeds, took birth. You strode 7 paces across this great land and proclaimed, I am the supreme one of this world. I offer homage to your skillfulness on that occasion. You first arrived from the divine realm of Tushita. You entered your mother's womb in Rajagriha. The Muni took birth in the Lumini grove. Homage to the Bhagavad, God among gods. In the royal palace, 8 nursemaids attended you. Before the Shakyas, you played the sports of youth. In the land of Kapilavastu, you accepted the Asatara as your dharma. Homage to your body, unrivaled in the 3 realms. Exhibiting sadness at the 4 gates of the city, stupa, you cut hairs from your head. On the banks of the Narayana, you engaged in austerities. Homage to your lacking the faults of the 2 obscurations. Raised elephant in Rajagriha, and Vaishali, a monkey, offered you honey. the Muni attained enlightenment. Homage to the blazing of your omniscient wisdom. You turned the wheel of Dharma in Varanasi and displayed great miracles in the grove of Shavasti. In the town of Kushinagar, your spirit transcended sorrow. Homage to your mind, which is like space itself. May the virtue of this concise praise of the deeds of the Bhagavat, the Lord of teachings, cause the conduct of all beings to match your own activities, Sugata. All others come to possess the very same bodily form, retinue, stature, kingdom, supreme and excellent signs as you do, Tathagata. Through the force of supplicating and praising you, may disease, malevolence, poverty, and warfare be pacified in all the places where I and others dwell. The Dharma and all that is auspicious. May the appearance of the teacher in this world and the radiance of the teachings like a shining sun bring about auspicious expansion and increase of those masters and students who uphold the doctrine and cause the teachings long to remain in this world. And finally, before the feast practice tonight, to gather control becomes prayer, which is, I don't know what you have. I have a one-page handout. It's not the version that's in the book. Well, you can follow what's in the book if you don't have this. It's a little bit different, but the meaning is the same. Own free. In the palace of power of blazing great bliss appear the empty bliss kayas of individuating wisdom, and blissful lotus nature. The magnificent radiance of the Vajra sun, Dharmakaya, Namwataye, and Dorjichu. Passionate compassion in form, Jikten Wangchu. Master of Samsara and Nirvana, Wangchen Haruka, who overwhelms the phenomenal world. Samwayeshe and Vajravarahi, Denchel, Dujal, and Dechenter, enchantress of all living beings, Kurukuli. Samudra masters, empty bliss dancers, the company of Vajraviras and Dakinis who harness power. Within the sphere of great equality of appearance and emptiness, your dancing Vajrakayas rouse the three realms. The sound of your irrepressible laughter lures the three worlds. Your red rays of light saturate samsara and nirvana, activating and collecting the vital energy of volatility and stillness. Your minds of enormous Vajra passion bestow twofold attainment and grant our greatest wishes. And with great Vajra hooks and lassos, you fasten the phenomenal world upon great bliss. Playful dancers of the limitless magical network, three roots and assembled deities of power, present here like infinite sesame halls split open. We respectfully supplicate you, grant your blessings. Please grant us siddhi to assume unhindered control over supreme and ordinary attainments for which we could ever wish. Same thing in Tibetan on page 59. Macha de meranjen le gorje manama chingata nama tai gorje shu dingen moju tuje jazu pema jabu kurde namanju Once Dorje Pavotagison, non Tonyam Pashimbo Manyedu, Dorje Pui Gaji Sinsamyo, Game Sangi Shedre Kansombo. Marto Borde Ona Shan Siji Dansu Yoshi Bache Borde Champa Shimba Dujine Nanye Mandra Dagur Sasose Chanju Chapa Shimba non se deva seva aye juju jawe roga shen te te gombo jewa junju pe rajan sasa wangi rajan lan eswa eswa So please turn to the feast text, which is called.
I have to give the first name
Yeah. 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 We'll take a 5-minute break. You can talk to Lama. From this angle.